Hello everybody, it is Zen, and today I'm going to be doing another book review. This time, my first fantasy book in a long time apart from the Dark Tower series. We got over here, Patrick Rothfuss, The Name of the Wind. Now, this is a very controversial book in my mind. So, hear me out, okay? I know a lot of people that I really like, and people who review books, like booktubers, who really don't like this book because of content reasons. And I recognize them, I definitely recognize them, and I will be talking about them later in the review. So don't worry, I'll just definitely keep that in mind. In case any of you are watching who've watched those, probably a lot of you, if anybody, yeah, okay. So, we got a book over here, and it's a really cool one. It's an epic fantasy book by Patrick Rothfuss, and it has won the Quill Award, apparently. What? The winner of the Quill Award. Huh. This book is approximately 700 pages and took me roughly more than 2 weeks, I guess, roughly 2 weeks of reading. And that's not bad for a book of this size, because this is a 700-page book. It is pretty big, and I definitely, it usually would have taken me a lot longer if I hadn't really liked it. But luckily, I loved it. It was a great book. I really enjoyed this. This is one of my favorite fantasy books that I've ever read, and I haven't read that many fantasy books, so yeah. That paper just touched my leg. Now, there's a couple reasons that I want to point out it's really good. My favorite part of this book, I feel like, is the pacing. This book has impeccable pacing. There's actually no point in this book where I want to put it down. And that's weird because, for me, there's a lot of points in the book where I put it down. Like if I'm reading Diary of a Wimpy Kid, you know, I've got my book open and I just get to a boring part and not even a boring part, just any break in the line, like a paragraph break, and I'll be like, I'm gonna go and get something. But for this book, that didn't happen. That was such a bad skit. This book was really fun in that stuff was always happening to Kvothe. And I really liked that. There was not that many lulls, and I didn't want to put it down in many places, but I had to, unfortunately, because apparently sleeping is a necessity. Pacing, impeccable. Now, characters. That is probably the big one. This is the really big one. People don't like Kvothe because he is a Mary Sue. Now, that means that it is the author has put themselves into the story and had them win everything because they're so cool, and it basically means they're always the best and they're great and they never lose. And I get it, it's true. It's not wrong that he's a Mary Sue. Kvothe is a Mary Sue, but here's my thing. I think that was kind of established when you bought the book. Like, let me help you out over here. Let me read you the back, like not even much, like whatever you hear about it, like you know this, okay? It says,
"My name is Kvothe. I've stolen princesses back from sleeping Barrow kings. I've burned down the town of Tremon. I've spent my life with the Felurian and left with both my sanity and my life. I was expelled from the university at a younger age than most people are allowed in. I tread paths by moonlight that others fear to speak of during day. I have talked to gods, loved women, and written songs that make the minstrels weep. You may have heard of me."
That, okay? Literally, you know that, okay? You know that he's such an awesome guy who's done all these things, and you complain that he's a Mary Sue. Well, like, duh, of course he's a Mary Sue. That's kind of like the book. He's this legendary hero who's done all the cool things. And I get it. It's technically true. You don't want a story to always have the winning character. Like, you want them to lose once in a while, not make them not be perfect. But I knew what I was getting into when I read this book, and that is exactly what I wanted. I've been waiting for a book like this for a long time, because I know that in fantasy you want to, like, make it feel like it's real. Like, you don't want the guy to always win. You want to feel real so that you're kind of rooting for him and he feels human. But the thing is, I never care about that. I want a book about a fantasy dude that's like, yeet, I got a sword, kill ya, pew, pew, I kill ya all, and he wins all the time, and I just want to see everyone like, oh my god, that's the cool guy, and that's just what I want, and that's what I got into, and that's what I got, and I'm really happy about it. Now, okay, problem in that is that I expected this to be a lot more cool than that, and you know, it did have that, I always win you, but not nearly as much as I expected. I thought there would be a lot more, and I think in Wise Man's Fear we're gonna get a lot more of that, and that's gonna be good. But in this book, not as much as I hoped. Doesn't matter, still a really good amount. A lot more than any other book I've read. Mary Sue's side, the people that I've talked to have a lot of problems with another character in this book. Now, this is mainly predicated with males. The entire series, or book, is about males. And that's okay for me. I don't mind, I don't care. So I didn't care about it at all. I didn't have a problem. But other people had a problem because, although technically it doesn't matter that there's a few women, but not that many, there are some difficulties which he faced in not including that many women. One of the really big ones being that we don't really get a big, strong female perspective. And I didn't care about that, but we do get one who's supposed to be the strong female perspective, but like, they chuck her down here, and that's not how it works. So we got Denna. Denna is the strong female perspective. Now, I am gonna go into light spoilers here, so you can skip ahead if you want, doesn't matter, just skip a couple times, like a minute or so. I'm just gonna talk about it really quick. Alright, so it is actually a little bit in the future. I have just messaged Daniel Green about the clips that I'm about to use, and I really just want to talk a little bit about what he mentioned about the series. So I'm in the middle of editing it right now, and I went ahead and I used some clips that have problems with what I'm about to mention very, very soon. And it was a lot of it came from Daniel Green, the YouTuber. Now, he's kind of the guy that is a little bit well known on the booktube area for not liking Kingkiller, and I watched those videos, and that's kind of what put me in the space to be like, I might not like this book. So I've asked him. He said that it's okay if I use these clips, and definitely gonna use them. Also warned me about the future upload, which is future today and past. This is his most recent Kingkiller video that he gave me a heads up on. So thank you for that, and you gave me enough time so that I can like leave an area for that, so thank you. First of all, let me go ahead and mention the first clip that I'm gonna pull up right here.
The relationship between Kvothe and Denna should make anyone with normal social understandings uncomfortable.
That's pretty good. That is from the second Kingkiller Chronicles review, I believe. I don't know, I'm not that long of a fan of him, but I don't remember. It's the second review that I could find on his channel, and it'll be linked in the description down below. Now, what he said here, in essence, was that this is not a good relationship. This is a weird relationship, and to respond to that, I don't disagree. It is a little bit of a weird relationship, but I think that you have to frame it within the context of the book, in the context of the two characters. If this situation were to arise between any two random people or any two other people, like you mentioned, have happened to maybe you and your friends, I understand. It's absolutely really weird, and that shouldn't happen. But when you frame it within the context of this book, when you know Denna, when you know Kvothe, and you know that these two people are really egging it on, or like really forcing it to happen, the only person that loses is the guy that Denna is dating. And at that point, we kind of have desensitized him. We're not supposed to care about him. That's just, we're like in the story itself, we're supposed to not care about these rich slobs, and you know, we're supposed to not care about them. And so when you frame it within the context of the story, it's not that much, it's not weird, really. Now I'm gonna play the second clip, which I have barely just watched before coming up. I should have prepared more. Boom.
He shows up all the time whenever Denna is on dates with another guy and has these macho weird standoffs with the guy, will buy them drinks and just do whatever he can to intrude. And of course, Denna, because the author makes these choices, enjoys it. No one in the real world would like that.
So that is from the first Kingkiller review, and that is the one that I watched first, I believe. And so I don't know if it's the first or the second, or I don't know. I'll link in the description though, in order of when I used them. So yeah, in this review we actually get a really more in-depth understanding of what it is that's going on. So Daniel here mentions the situation itself, that the she's kind of not being respected because Kvothe keeps coming into her own area, not telling her his feelings about her, and how she needs to be treated like an adult. Okay, so there's that, and I understand where you're coming from again. In real life, that would make sense. Within the context of the story, however, within the context of the characters, I think that it is best that it was written this way. The reason I would say that is because Denna was specifically crafted as a character to egg this on and to want Kvothe to continue. And that is the main thing. Denna wants to continue and Kvothe wants to continue. In the first review, or the first review that I showed, it was clear when you mentioned that you don't think Kvothe is an unreliable narrator. Alright, so because of that, then that means that you believe that Denna is actually egging it on, okay? So we can agree that Denna is egging it on and Kvothe is enjoying being egged on. And both of these people are they're enjoying it very much, and they're both happy with it, and they're both consenting and everything like that. And so we've got the situation where the victim is the third guy, but however, I don't feel like that is what you're mentioning in this review. If anything, I would have wanted to mention the third guy because, you know, He just got rejected. But you're mentioning Denna, saying that it's sad for her because Kvothe is not mentioning his feelings, and he's showing up to her dates. Now, here's the thing about that, okay? It's specifically mentioned within the book that Denna is calling him over during dates. She's the one calling Kvothe over. She's not just being like kind of looking away. She looks at him and she's like, oh my god, hey, what's up? Join us. And I can't fault Kvothe for that, even though Kvothe seeks her out. It's not like he's not impeding on their party because Denna invited him and invited him to stay. So I can't do anything about that either. Hoy vey, my chair just broke. Nervith Xeno superpower, obesity. This is actually way too long of a section, but I am just going to quickly mention that it is Denna who's egging it on. It's Denna who's continuing this. And so because of the context of who's doing what, who's egging it on, I don't mind it. But to be honest, either way, for me, it's just like, I don't have any experience with this. I don't mind too much about it because, you know, they're both consenting, they're both fine with it. And so either way, I would have been like, it's fine, and I didn't have a problem with it anyway. And thank you, Daniel Green, for actually releasing the video way ahead of schedule, I think. I don't know. You told me that you were going to be releasing it at the end of the week or throughout the week, but you released it on the first day of the week or something. Yeah, first day of the week, Monday. Thank you for that. To respond to the third King Killer video, which I am not even going to show you guys because there's nothing new that we haven't learned. All I'm going to say is Daniel Green went ahead and he told us a little bit more clarity in his opinions, which is that everything that he cites is not specifically something he would say is wrong with the book. He would say that this is not his personal preference, and it generally isn't what he considers to be the normal person's preference. And so at that point, I'm gonna have to say personal taste is one thing, but if I were to say the quality of the book, brilliant. I loved it, and I didn't care for the personal taste. That's why I'm rating it so high, and this video is getting long. Back to you, past Nervith. So, follow Daniel Green. Daniel Green is great. Those are the two main examples that I could find online about why people don't like him, as well as, you know, the Mary Sue, which is on its own a different thing. But please go down and subscribe to Daniel Green because he's awesome. If you haven't already, I bet you've all subscribed to Daniel Green. He's just dope. He's great. Got you. Shout out, shout out, shout out, shout out, shout out. This is gonna be a pain to edit. Now, if I had to describe this book, I would give it a kind of between Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, kind of in the middle, closer to Harry Potter if you ask me. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed both of those books. This was great for me. I love this. World building, awesome. But as usual, a lot of fancy names that I couldn't keep up with. But still awesome. Plot, brilliant. I enjoyed every part of this plot. New stuff kept happening. It wasn't like a very linear plot, and I get that. And it was kind of weird how this book ended. But like, I didn't mind it. It was okay. It was pretty solid. I did have a little bit of problem. I did have a little bit of a problem with this girl named Aruri or something. She's this weird girl that we meet kind of in the middle, and then she's comebacks at the end, and kind of what happens with her. She's weird. I don't understand why we're not dwelling on that. Like, that is really weird how she exists, and we're not dwelling on it. We're just like, cool, move on. Like, hold on. But she exists. In terms of what I was looking for when I went for this book, I was looking for somebody who's cool, who never lost. That's what I was looking for, and who really kind of story about somebody's life. Like, I want to know how cool they were because of reasons, and I'm really, really happy with this book because this got me here. And unfortunately, it's not exactly what I wanted, but I think that this is the closest I'm ever gonna get, so that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. So, in turn, nothing really big about it bothered me, and I really, really enjoyed it. This is one of the fastest I've read a book. I loved it. And because of that, I gotta give it the straight up 5 out of 5 stars, because it was awesome. Brilliant book. You gotta read it. People have problems with it. Don't go and listen to the problems about it. I've already told you about it, and I get it, so don't keep going though. Don't dive into it. And if you're gonna read this book, don't look at the reviews. People have a big problem with this book, and once you read the reviews, it'll severely hinder your reading experience. Now, fair enough, okay? You don't want to like just completely avoid the bad parts of the book. Fair enough. But you also don't want to hinder your experience of the book. You can go and think bad about it later, but while you're reading it, enjoy it. Don't look at the bad stuff. Don't look for bad stuff, and I was doing that. Now I can go up and look for all the bad stuff about it, and I'm not agreeing with it, so you can do that. But before, you don't want to have these opinions about it originally. That just sucks, so don't do that at all. 5 out of 5, brilliant book. I think I'm going to be starting the Wise Man's Fear soon, so that's going to be pretty awesome as well. And I'm very, very excited for that, and I hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you've read the book and you want to leave an opinion down below, I would be really happy to read it and discuss it with you. If you have any opinions on this book, I would be happy to hear about that too. Any fantasy and stuff. Guys, I'm going hard into fantasy. You're gonna see this book, and then Stormlight's coming out soon. And then I'm gonna drop some more Lord of the Rings stuff. And then I'm probably gonna drop some Game of Thrones stuff. And then I've got Tad Williams somewhere here, right there. I'm gonna be dropping a lot of fantasy, so if you like fantasy, subscribe down below. And Stephen King, and everything. Just subscribe if you like books. I'm gonna get all the subs. You know I'm gonna get all the subs. I'm just gonna get every sub. So, thank you for watching, and leave a like if you enjoyed, and if you want to see more content like this, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye!